7th grade advanced class. Let's go ahead and knock this out. I got the odd ones tonight. Let's start with this one. It says, find the missing side lengths of each triangle. We're doing Pythagorean Theorem, which means we're doing a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Let's go ahead and write that down. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And if you remember correctly, when you square something, whatever this number is, it multiplies to itself, and then you add it to this one that's multiplied to itself, and it would equal this one multiplied to itself. So let's start over here. We're looking at the two smaller angles that equal the bigger one, right? So the two angles here that are 32 and 60. Since this says 60, I know this has to be 32. And I know that we're squaring everything thanks to our formula, so this next to the 60 must be squared. Now we got to take 32 and square it. I'm going to get my calculator to save me some work. And I see 32, and if I want to, I can come right over here to the square button, and it gives me 1,024. So I'm going to put over here 1,024. And I know 6 times 6 is 36, and adding 2 zeros to that will make 3,600. Now we just have to add these two together. I see that 0 plus 4 will be 4. I see 0 plus 2 will be 2. I see 6 plus 0 will be 6. And I see that 3 plus 1 will be 4. So this is 4,624. So now I have to realize I'm taking 4,624. And I'm finding the square of it, right? Which means that's going to equal c squared, the square root of c squared. Which means now, what is c going to equal? That means I've got to find the square root of 4,624. So I'm going to add the 3,600 over here, which gives me the 4,624. Then I'm going to press the square root button. The square root button is right here, and you see that gives us 68. So this is going to equal 68, which means the length of the hypotenuse is 68 units. All right, let's go ahead and move on. That was number 7. That means I've got number 9. What is the length of the hypotenuse of the triangle when x is 15? Remember, x is going to be 15 here. It's going to take a little solving first. I realize that if x is 15, this is 4 times 15, and that's going to give us 60. And 60 plus 4 will give us 64. So this side is 64. And if this is 3 times 15, this would be 45. Now I've got my two sides. Remember, these equations are gone now. So I can say that 64 squared plus 45 squared has to equal c squared. And remember, this side is c. So first thing I need to do is get my calculator out again. I'm going to put this into parentheses here to solve each part individually. First parenthesis is going to be 64 squared. So this is going to be 64, and then I'm going to square it right here. All right, so that part is done. All right, now I'm going to add it to, and then put in parentheses again, 45 squared, 45 square, okay? And that is going to equal 6,121. Now that I know this, 6,121, let's see, I come over here and put, let's see, this is going to be equal to 6,121, and that equals c squared So now we have to take the square root of 6,121, and it will equal the square root of c squared, which means we've got to find, right, this would be c over here, because when I square something and I find the square root of it, I get c, and now I got to get the answer over here. So I'm going to take the answer that I got and then find the square root. And that looks like to me, it says round to the nearest tenth, and the tenth would be 2. So this is going to be 78.2. Yep, 78.2. All right. Okay, next I got number 11. And let's see, I want to make sure the unit, yeah, it's just units, so I've got to do that. Number 11, use Pythagorean Theorem to find the unknown side. Once again, we got 10 and 24. All we have to do is put 10 square plus 24 square, and it has to be equal to c squared. Well, I know 10 times 10 is going to be 100. That's a no-brainer. 24 square, that's going to be a little harder. So let's take our first parentheses, 10 square. Oh, that was a 0, sorry. First parentheses, 10 square, that's 100. Close parentheses. I'm going to add that to parentheses, 24 square. That's 576. And that's going to equal 676. All right, 576. Okay. So this is 576 equals c squared. That's going to equal 676. That's going to be equal to c squared. I can find the square root of 676, and it equals the square root of c squared. And that's going to go ahead and give me what c is equal to, right? So the square root of 676, I'll just press this button here, and it's 26. So my answer has to be 26. And since it's m, I'd have to put 26 meters, right? Let me clean that up a little bit, 26 meters. 26 or 28? 26. 26 m is equal to c. All right. Let's go and move on. I had number, see, that was 11, so I've got number 13. Number 13 says a student is asked to find the length of the hypotenuse of a right triangle. The length of one of the legs is 32. So if I was to make a right triangle, I'm just going to go ahead and put a shape in here. None of these look like right triangles. Let's see if I got any other shapes. Over here maybe? There we go. So we got a right triangle here. Okay, one of the legs is 32. And the length of the other leg is 26. Student says, incorrectly says that the length of the hypotenuse is 7.1. She thinks this is 7.1 centimeters. Find the length of the hypotenuse of the right triangle to the nearest tenth. So let's solve this first. We know we've got 32 square plus 26 square has to equal c squared. I'm going to make this a little easier using our calculator here. We know that we're supposed to go ahead and take, see, we're going to parentheses, I'm going to take 32 square, and we're going to add it to 26 square. Okay, and that's going to equal 1,700. And then we're going to divide it, or actually we're going to find the square root of that. And that turns out to be, remember they said to the nearest centimeter, right? So then, yeah, so if I was doing this to the nearest centimeter, I'm going to say 41, all right, 41 centimeters. It doesn't say to go to the nearest tenth or anything. So 41 centimeters would be my answer. Okay. Oh, wait, it does say to the nearest tenth. Oh, crap. To the nearest tenth, that would be, well, 3 rounded up would be, it's not bigger than 5, so it would be 0.2. So 41.2 would be the correct answer to the nearest tenth. 41.2 centimeters. And they said, what do they think they made the mistake on? Remember, she thought it was 7.6. And I think, let me see, 7.6. What could they have done wrong? I think I figured it out. My guess is they added 32 and 26 together. I think what they did, and I'm just going to check it out here. I think they took 32 and 26 and got 58 squared. And then they decided they were going to go ahead. Let's see what happens now. 58 squared would give us 3,364. And when we find the square root of that, that is not going to be it. Oh, wait a minute. No, I did something wrong here. We should have picked this one. Look at that, 7.6. I'm going to try it one more time to make sure I got it right. 58 square, so 58 square, okay? And then I would take this answer and I would find the square root of it. 58, let's see. Oh no, all they did was take the two numbers and make 58. Yep, that's what they did. Okay, so what they did is added 32 and 26 and got 58 and then found the square root of that. So what mistake could they have made? Let's see here. I'm going to say they added the measure of the two legs and then found the square root of 58 instead of, let's see, squaring each leg and then adding them together before finding the square root. Of that sum. Okay. Well, I kind of drifted off over here. Let's see if I can. I think I have to grab it and move it on over here. Sorry about this. I did not foresee me having to deal with this. There. Oops, wrong one. Huh. It's turned out to be a little more complicated than I. There we go. So yeah, it should be like that. All right, perfect. Let's see, and number 14 is yours to do. I got number 15. A right triangle had a side length of 12 centimeters and 14 centimeters. Name two possible side lengths for the third side. Wow, we're talking about two possible side lengths for the third side because it's a right triangle. Okay, let's go ahead and look at that. So I read a right triangle has a side length of 12 So we're talking a right triangle again. And what we know about this is, let's see, it's a right triangle. And it said has a side length of 12 and 14. It really doesn't say which ones are the legs, do they? Well, if this was 12 and this is 14, it makes it kind of easier. Because it's saying name two possible side lengths of the third one and explain how you solved it. So I'm going to see, I'm going to take my 12, square it, add it to my 14, square it. That's going to equal 340. And when I find the square root of 340, that gives me about 18.4. Okay? So one of the legs could be 18.4. That's one possible answer. When I say one possible answer, it's because without saying which ones are the legs, it is possible that one of these numbers are the legs. Now, it can't be 12 because remember the hypotenuse has to be bigger. So what if 14 was the hypotenuse? 14 could be it because it is bigger than 12. 12 cannot be the hypotenuse because since the hypotenuse has to be longer than both the legs, that would mean the bigger number could be a hypotenuse, but the smaller number couldn't. So we would have to do this one kind of backwards. And for doing that, I would have to take 12 squared and add it to b squared. And that would have to be equal to 14 squared. 12 squared is pretty easy. I know that's 144. So 144 plus b squared is equal to 14 squared. Let's find out what 14 squared is. That's 196. So this would be 196. Now I can subtract 144 from each side by combining my like terms. And that's going to give me a 2 and a 5, 52. So b squared is going to be equal to 52. And just like we did before, we can say the square root of 52 is going to be equal to, let's see here, b squared, well, the square root of b squared, because then that will just be b. So now we have to find what is 52 squared. That's going to be 7.2 by the looks of it, 7.2. And I'm pretty sure this is to the nearest tenth again, right? Well, it didn't say to the nearest tenth, but I'm answering it that way anyways. So my possible answers would be, and I'm getting a little lazy here, so I'm going to pop this in here. Let's see. Giving us a little bit of issue with the movement here. I'm going to try and something here. Definitely not working on that platform. Oh, there we go. There we go. So if these are the lengths of the leg of the triangle, then the length of the hypotenuse is about 18.4, right? If this was the length of these two here, this was 12 and 14 down here, then it would be 18.4, just like we said. And If 14 was the hypotenuse, then it would be 7.2. Look at that right there. 7.2 was the other one. So found both of them. Looks like the rest is yours to do. Good luck and see you in class.